What happens when you give your dog this for 7 days? Itching and ticks gone. Your dog was up scratching again at 3 in the morning, and by day 7 of one simple bowl addition, the house was quiet all night. Here is the part almost nobody tells you straight. Everyone assumes the tick product on the shelf is the only thing standing between their dog and a tick bite. But the skin underneath that coat matters just as much, and most owners never touch it. Before this 7-day habit does anything for your dog, there is one mistake almost every owner makes that quietly cancels it out, and it has nothing to do with what goes in the bowl. That mistake is exactly where we need to start, because skipping it is the reason so many dogs look better for a week and then slide right back into scratching. In my clinic, this is the pattern I see constantly. A dog improves, the owner relaxes, and 3 weeks later we are back at square one. I am a veterinarian. I have spent about 20 years with dogs just like yours in the exam room. And before we get into the 7 days, tell me in the comments where you are watching from tonight. I always like knowing who is on the other side of this. That guilt you might be feeling right now, that the itching crept up slowly and you did not catch it soon enough, or that you reached for a food fix instead of booking a vet visit, is common, and it does not mean you have been neglecting your dog. Skin problems build quietly, a little dryness here, a little extra licking there, and most owners do not notice the pattern until the scratching starts waking everyone up. Simply measuring a spoon every night and running your hands over your dog before bed is already what a caring, capable owner does. You do not need a veterinary degree to help this dog. You need consistency, and that is something you already have, or you would not still be watching. So why did the itching sneak up in the first place? And why does everyone assume the fix for it doubles as tick protection? That is the myth we need to clear up before anything else makes sense. The dominant belief out there is that a food or oil additive can kill ticks or repel them outright. Owners believe it because tick season tends to line up with when people start paying more attention to coat care, and because of simple confirmation bias, the dog seemed fine after starting the oil, so the oil gets the credit for something skincare was never doing. Here is the truth, plainly. Coconut oil and omega-3 support the skin and the coat, and a healthier coat can make a tick a little easier to spot when you actually run your hands through it. But neither one kills, stuns, or reliably repels a tick. That distinction is not a small technicality. An owner who believes food is doing tick duty is an owner with a real gap in protection, and that gap is exactly what gets a dog into trouble. So if the oil is not fighting ticks, what is it actually doing under that coat? Here is the short version of what is happening in the skin, because the sign and the fix only make sense once you understand this piece. Itchy, flaky skin usually starts with a weakened skin barrier, dryness, mild allergy inflammation, or simply a diet that is a little short on the right fats. Think of the skin barrier like the grout between bathroom tiles. When it is intact, water and irritants stay where they belong, outside. When it thins out, everything starts getting in, and that is when the itching, the flaking, and the smell begin. Omega-3, mainly two fats called EPA and DHA, which just means the skin-calming nutrients this fish oil carries, get absorbed into that outer skin layer over several days, calming the inflammation and helping the skin hold on to moisture, which quiets the itch signal being sent to the brain. Coconut oil works differently. Its main fat is called lauric acid, in plain terms, the coat softening fat, and it gives a similar surface softening effect, though the evidence behind it for skin specifically is thinner than what we have for fish oil. Picture coconut oil like conditioner on brittle hair. It makes the surface feel better without necessarily fixing what is happening underneath. None of that reaches the tick at all. A tick bites through skin and feeds on blood, and nothing your dog ate a day earlier changes that mechanical fact. A tick riding on your dog is a lot like a burr caught in a sock. Nothing in the wash changes that either. You still have to go check by hand. So a shinier coat is a nice side effect of this 7-day habit. It is not a shield. If the bowl is not the shield, what actually is? And how do you even know your dog needs this in the first place? Some scratching is completely normal. A dog rolling in grass and having a good scratch afterward is not a red flag. What you are watching for is different. It repeats. Scratching at the same spots most nights, the ears, the belly, the base of the tail, a coat that has gone dull and flaky when it used to have some shine to it, a faint yeasty smell drifting up from the paws or the ears, small red patches where your dog keeps returning to lick, and hair thinning in one area from constant biting. Here is the distinction that actually matters. Routine grooming licks are quick and dry, but licking that leaves the fur damp and the skin underneath pink is a different animal entirely. That pattern usually means active irritation, not habit. There is a second layer to this worth knowing, because skin rarely acts alone in a dog's body. Chronic itching often traces back to a sensitive gut or a mild food intolerance that is simply surfacing on the skin instead of staying hidden inside, which is why some dogs on the exact same food react differently. A coat that never gets checked by hand can hide more than ticks too. It can mask early skin growths, small lumps, or scabs that a busy owner never notices until a grooming appointment finds them. Supporting that skin barrier with the right fat tends to calm ear infections as well, since the ears and the skin share the same inflammatory pathway underneath. So owners who fix the itch often notice the ears smell better within the same week, without doing anything extra for the ears specifically. Here is the part that should genuinely concern you if none of this gets addressed. Left alone, mild dryness does not stay mild. It turns into constant scratching, then hot spots where the skin has actually broken open, then a secondary infection that needs real medication, not a spoon of oil. On the tick side, this is where it gets serious in a different way. An unnoticed bite that sits long enough can transmit Lyme disease, which shows up weeks later as joint pain and lethargy that seem to come out of nowhere. Or, in some regions, Rocky Mountain spotted fever, which can escalate within days into a real fever and organ strain. This is not meant to scare you, it is meant to be honest with you, because I have seen both versions in the exam room. The dog whose itching turned into a skin infection, and the dog whose owner assumed the coconut oil had tick duty covered. If you see red, raw, or bleeding skin, a smell that will not go away, sudden lethargy, fever, or joint swelling after a tick bite, that is not bull territory anymore. That needs a veterinarian, and it needs one quickly. There was a dog in my clinic named Biscuit, a 5-year-old mixed breed, whose owner was convinced she had fleas because of how much she was scratching. We checked twice and found nothing. 1 week of daily fish oil at home, alongside the tick prevention she was already on, and by the follow-up visit her skin was calmer and her coat actually had shine to it again. What changed for Biscuit was not complicated. It was one small, consistent addition to her bowl, done correctly for 7 straight days. I want to give you the other side of that story too, because it is just as common, and it is the reason this whole video exists. A young Labrador named Scout came in a few months later, coat looking better than ever thanks to a weekly coconut oil routine his owner was proud of. Except his owner had quietly stopped using an actual tick preventive months earlier, assuming the oil was doing double duty. Scout came in with a tick still attached behind one ear. Nothing terrible happened to him in the end, but it easily could have. And that gap between what the oil was actually doing and what his owner believed it was doing is exactly the mistake we opened this video with. So here is exactly what went into Biscuit's bowl, and exactly how much, because the dose matters here, and getting it right is what separates a dog that improves from one that does not. For the itch, fish oil is the stronger tool. Give roughly 100 milligrams of combined EPA and DHA per 10 pounds of body weight once a day with food. A small 10-pound dog needs about 100 milligrams. A medium 40-pound dog needs somewhere around 400 to 500 milligrams. And a large 80-pound dog needs 800 to 1,000 milligrams. For anything in between, scale gently rather than rounding way up. A 60-pound dog does better closer to 600 milligrams than jumping straight to the large dog range. Use a fish oil made specifically for dogs whenever you can, since human capsules sometimes carry flavorings or xylitol that are unsafe for a dog. Most owners notice calmer scratching and a softer coat somewhere around day 5 to 7, which is exactly why this is framed as a 7-day experiment and not an overnight fix. If your dog's stools loosen in the first couple of days, that usually means the starting amount was a touch high. Cut it back by roughly a quarter and build up more slowly instead of stopping altogether. If you found real value in understanding this, hit subscribe. There is no big goal behind that ask. It simply helps this information reach more owners and protect more dogs. And a like does the same thing. It is a small action that carries real weight for dogs you will never meet. Coconut oil plays a smaller supporting role here, roughly 1/4 teaspoon per 10 pounds of body weight, and start at half that amount for the first 2 days just to see how your dog's stomach handles it. It is not a replacement for fish oil when the itching is active. Think of it more as a finishing touch for coat shine once things have already started improving. A very small dog under 10 pounds can do fine with just 1/8 of a teaspoon, since even a small excess shows up fast in a dog that size. None of that, not 1 spoon of either one, touches a tick. Here is the actual tick habit, the one that does the real work, and it takes about 2 minutes. Every evening, run your hands against the direction of the coat from head to tail, checking the ears, between the toes, the armpits, and underneath the collar, because catching a tick early, before it has fed long enough, is what actually lowers the risk of disease transmission. If you find one attached, use fine-tipped tweezers, grasp as close to the skin as possible, and pull straight up with steady pressure. No oil, no lit match, no dish soap. Those old tricks do not work and can make removal harder. This nightly check, done alongside whatever veterinary-approved tick prevention your dog is already using, is what actually keeps the promise in the title honest. If fish oil or coconut oil is not on hand some week, plain sardines packed in water, given 2 or 3 times a week, offer a similar omega-3 boost in a pinch, roughly 1 small sardine for a small dog and 2 or 3 for a larger one. And if the scratching has not eased up noticeably after 5 to 7 days of consistent dosing, that is your signal to loop in your veterinarian rather than pushing the dose higher on your own, since persistent itching that does not respond usually points to an allergy that needs more than a bowl addition. One more thing before we wrap the bowl part of this up, because it is where I see people accidentally undo their own progress, and it is the single most common mistake in my exam room this time of year. Do not add fish oil, extra coconut oil, and some new topical product all in the same week. A sudden pile of new fats commonly triggers loose stool, and then owners assume the fish oil is not working, when really it is just too much change at once. Introduce one thing at a time, give it 4 to 5 full days before you judge whether it is helping. And once the coat has genuinely improved, you can trim coconut oil back to 2 or 3 times a week, keeping the daily fish oil as your steady baseline going forward. This is also the point where a lot of owners stop the routine entirely the moment the itching quiets down, and then wonder a month later why it came back. Once you are past day 7 and things look good, keep the fish oil going at the same dose, since it is maintaining the barrier you just rebuilt, not just treating an active flare. While we are on the subject of things people avoid without needing to be told twice, a few foods and substances have no place anywhere near this bowl at all, and they matter regardless of what skin issue you are dealing with. Garlic, onion, grapes and raisins, xylitol, sometimes labeled as birch sugar on ingredient lists, cooked bones, and concentrated essential oils near a dog's skin or bowl can all be genuinely dangerous, not just unhelpful. Fish oil in excess can loosen stool, and very high doses kept up over a long stretch can thin blood clotting. So stay within the amounts we just walked through, and check with your vet first if your dog is on blood thinners. Coconut oil overused commonly causes oily diarrhea, and over months the added calories can push weight up quietly. So dogs with a history of pancreatitis should skip it unless a vet specifically approves it. Once the 7 days are behind you and the itching has settled, there is a longer game worth playing so it does not creep back next season. A quick weekly brush, even on a short-haired dog, does 2 jobs at once. It spreads the natural oils through the coat, and it gives you one more chance to feel for a tick or a new bump you might otherwise miss. If your dog reacts to this particular season every year, starting the fish oil 2 to 3 weeks before the itching usually shows up tends to soften the whole flare rather than chasing it once it has already started. And if a food intolerance turns out to be part of the picture, your vet can help you trial a limited ingredient diet, which is a slower process than a spoon of oil, but it is the piece that actually closes the loop for dogs whose itching keeps returning no matter how much fish oil goes in the bowl. A lot of natural pet content out there sells the idea that food alone replaces medical-grade tick prevention, because a bottle of oil is simply easier to market as a complete solution than a product paired with a nightly habit. I do not think that is malicious. I think it is incomplete. And incomplete information is exactly what left Scout with a tick behind his ear. What I see work, week after week in my own clinic, is simpler than any of that marketing. The bowl helps the skin, and the nightly hands-on check paired with real veterinary-approved prevention is what actually handles the tick. If you remember one number from all of this, let it be 40 to 100 milligrams of EPA and DHA per kilogram of body weight. That is the range that actually moves the needle on itching within about a week. So here is where we land after 7 days. The itching genuinely can ease up. The coat genuinely can get its shine back. And none of that requires anything expensive or complicated. Just a measured spoon and a little patience. What it does not do, and what nothing in a bowl will ever do, is stand in for the 2 minutes you spend running your hands over your dog every single evening. That habit is the part of this title that is actually true, and it is the part most videos skip right past. Tell me in the comments how many nights this past week your dog was scratching. Just give me the number. I read every one of them, and it helps me know what to cover next. If this helped you understand your own dog a little better tonight, subscribe and pass it along to another owner. It genuinely helps more dogs get looked after properly. Now go run your hands over that coat tonight and give your dog a little scratch behind the ears from me.